Senator Monday Okpebholo is set to take over as the governor of Edo State. As the governor-elect of the state under the platform of the All Progressives Congress, Okpebholo is expected to bring about positive change to the state. It, however, remains to be seen if he will hit the ground running with his 5-point agenda, which includes plans for economic development, education, healthcare, infrastructure, and security. It is worth noting that Okpebholo has faced some controversy, including allegations of age falsification, and his victory at the poll is still being contested by his close contender, Aswe Ighodalo, who ran under the umbrella of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Meanwhile, Governor Godwin Obaseki has expressed confidence that the party would reclaim its mandate from the All Progressives Congress. While joining us now is APC member Washington Osifo. He will be setting the agenda for the incoming Senator Okpebholo administration in Edo State and what the people are to expect. Good to have you on Arise News. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So what are the main issues that the incoming governor needs to urgently address once he's sworn into office?
Well, sometimes it will be difficult to even say which should be given ultimate priority over and above the other. You just mentioned the 5-point agenda, but I think the governor-elect, as from tomorrow, he intends to hit the ground running in areas of education, economic reform, healthcare, and security is topmost, and he intends to hit the ground running in all of it, because what we have discovered is that there was a total collapse of governance, as it were. Links road from the rural communities to the urban areas are either non-existent, or where they do exist, they are impassable. Talking about education, for the past 8 years, there was no recruitment of teachers, as it were. So the classrooms, whereas they are there, even though these ones that are fairly okay, they do not have the required numbers of teachers in the classrooms. And that's a disaster, for any society, the absence of teachers in our classrooms. What about the healthcare? It's supposed to be a social sector, so to speak, but it's been largely taken away from the ordinary citizens who should have the benefit of accessing the medical facilities at little cost and all of that. But as it is today, because of the excessive privatization of government-owned hospitals, what it means is that it's above the reach. It's just out of the reach of the ordinary citizens, for which reasons we built that in 2016 before we exited in talking about the government of Comrade Adams Ali Oshomole. What we intend to do is just to go back to default setting, fix our roads, deal with the issues of lack of teachers in our classrooms, provide learning materials, which will include desks and all the whatnot. The roads that are gone and are bad, the windows that are not there, our schools that are collapsing, and all of that. We need to deal with that. We need to also talk about security. As it is today, the spate of killing, particularly the court war in Edo, is alarming. Every day the numbers keep coming, and all of that is alarming. I think as Chief Security Officer, the Commissioner of Police, together with other security apparatus in the state, they must come together to find ways and means of dealing with this issue. The best time to do it would have been yesterday, but the second best time is now. I think if there are security lapses, especially when they are even unattended to, when there are issues of education, lapses in the education sector and together with the health sector, you can't even be talking about economic growth, as it were. So that is why it will be difficult to prefer one over the other. He has chosen to take the mandate, and by God's grace and by the choice of Edo people, he has won the election. There's no excuse. We must hit the ground running. He has made that known, and as a man of his words, I do know, and Edo people believe, has made manifest in the vote they gave to him, that he will hit the ground running. There is already a social contract. But then during his duration as governor, I think we will see the difference in terms of human relations and in terms of attending to the needs and aspirations of the people.
Now, I'm sure Governor Godwin Obaseki will disagree with you, that there was a total collapse in governance, as he prides himself on a number of achievements. So I'm wondering if there are any policies or programs of the outgoing administration that you would like the incoming administration to continue. For instance, the Edo Best initiative. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think Edo Best is one that is highly questionable, because in form and in content is highly questionable. For instance, where most of our communities are not are out of power, or they've never had power at any time. And I have a school, for instance, in my locality and even in my local government. My local government is Umode local government. It's one of the 18 local governments of Edo State. When you talk about Edo Best, what they pride is that from the desk or from the bedroom of the students, they can access the learning, having these learning materials through e-learning. They can access what is done in terms of the curriculum in schools. So how do you do that? I have my family members, I have people my students in my community. They have never seen a tablet. They don't even have phones. Where they have, they hardly find power to boost it up. So when a governor under Edo Best masquerade it as that is the best thing that happened to Edo children in education, when they do not have it, how do you situate it? So the question is that how do you talk about Edo Best when you do not have rules over their heads? When Comrade Adams Ali Oshomole was there, I was the commissioner for education. The pride of that regime was that we brought about what they called Red Roof. That was the first time we were building schools in Edo State with long roofing sheets and with ties, step ties, and the aluminum windows and doors. The essence of that was to make the schools very beautiful and attractive. In many communities, our schools were the best, and that we made that even finer than some of the homes in the communities. Well, the reason why we made that was to make it attractive to attract the students to school, and that was one way of discouraging out of school children and encouraging parents to enroll their children in school, and it worked for us. And Edo went under my watch, working with Comrade Adams Oshomole as Commissioner for Education. Edo, for the first time in both WAEC and NECO, came second, and we sustained that before we left office. So there must be practical teaching and practical learning. You don't just do it by e-learning, when you hardly can find power. And even the tablets you have, that you said you sent around the numbers of teachers that we have here. In thank God I was a member of the transition committee. We found so many lacunas here and there, even on the issues of education and all of that. But I think the governor that will be resuming office tomorrow is not a stranger in the state. He understands, what the challenges are, even in education. He comes from an area, he knows whether he works there or whether he doesn't work there. But I can tell you, the people from where he comes from where I come from, and in most parts of Edo, they do know that what they call Edo Best can simply be described by us as Edo was, and we'll make it better for the people of Edo State, and particularly our children.
Okay, so let's talk about the incoming governor's cabinet. What sort of individuals would you expect to make up his cabinet? Some analysts believe that he should prioritize competence over political loyalty. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, you can't give what you don't have. In a society that must grow, the proper thing to do is to prioritize competence. It is written for any leader to succeed. When you are praying for promotion, also be praying God to give you men of wisdom, men and women of wisdom to surround your table. From quality advice will proceed best governance. So he has resolved that it's not going to be just like any other, where you just sacrifice competence on the altar of political relationship or thereabout. You can always find them, best brains within the political sector. But I think there will be room for everybody according to your needs and according to your talents. I think that would be what I would recommend, and that is what he has also promised the party and Edo people that he will do. What will be paramount? This is not the time to play politics. The time for politics is over. It's from APC, yes. Sponsored by APC, yes. But it's not going to be the governor of APC. It's going to be the governor of Edo State. And he didn't have any social contract with APC. He has social contract with Edo people. And I can assure you, the kind of heart that he has compassion, he has the fear of God, he has the love of the people. First, he loves himself and he loves the people. So I believe that he will be working for Edo people and not just APC. From there, we proceed. The best of brains, the best of Edo sons and daughters. I think that's the personality that will occupy his cabinet.
Now, in the meantime, there seems to be a lack of public confidence and trust in political office holders. So I'm wondering how you expect the incoming governor to promote transparency and accountability in governance, while also operating an open-door policy. How can this be achieved?
Well, yeah, I understand. When people do believe these days, particularly from politicians, that they give fine words for food, for every attempt to try to govern the people, one thing is sure: they will benchmark you against the social contract you had with them during electionary campaigns. But more often than not, when they get to office, they forget, they abandon what is supposed to be their guiding principle, which is to develop the people, for which reason the people in any way voted for them. When people increasingly see you to be sticking to what you promised them and the social contract is going well, there is no other means to earn the trust of the people other than to work. Just do exactly what you told them. If at the end of the day you cannot get 100%, God forbid, there is nowhere in the world that any government in the world can provide 100%. But it is an aberration for you not to score above average. And for me, above average will be about 60. So if you score 60, you score 70. Our people are very understanding people. If you carry them along and you take them through the track and through the governance, you don't abandon them, and they know exactly what you are doing at every reasonable time, they will follow you, they will even advise you, and they will sympathize with you, and they will appreciate you for anything you are doing for them. So enough of we as politicians taking our people for granted. 8 years is not forever. I was talking to one of my colleagues this afternoon. I mean, between Comrade Adams Ali Oshomole and Godwin Obaseki, 16 years is gone. It's just like yesterday. All that is remembered is who did what, when, and how, and who failed when and how. It is now history, but whatever history that is negative, it is the state and it is the people who suffer. So God forbid, we will not take excuse from any leadership for any reason anymore. Stick by the rules of the game. You're delivered on your promises, which of course I say is the social contract you have with the people. You must be able to benchmark against whatever you are doing. Let there be town hall meetings, interact with them, don't be far from them. It is only when you are not far from them that periodically you meet with the people in a town hall meeting. They will be to draw your attention to what you promised them that you are not doing. And if you are a reasonable leader, you should not let another day break without attending to those issues. It is in your best interest, because one day the door will shut against you as former. The question will be, what will you be remembered for? But I think the disagreed senator who is the governor-elect and governor of Edo State as of tomorrow, I think he has no reason, because he's a man that is meek and gentle, and above all, he fears God. And if you do not fear God, there's no way you can love yourself. Right? If you don't love yourself, you don't love the people. So the foundation of his governance will be one that is rooted on the fear of God and the love for the people.
Okay, so just before I let you go, are you worried that the current war of words between the incoming and the outgoing is already making people lose confidence in the incoming governor? We are hearing allegations of plans to spend 5 billion naira on the inauguration. Your party is also accusing the current governor, that's Godwin Obaseki, of fleeing from Edo State. We are hearing reports of him not being invited for the inauguration. There just seems to be so much rancor, and pettiness happening. How do you explain this?
Well, first, it's expected in politics all over the world. People say things, for the sake of saying it. Even in the United States of America, which today is no longer the pride of democracy as it were, you hear the banters here and there, back and forth. So it's not really an issue. But what should be cleared is that I heard it when the outgoing governor Obaseki did mention that APC borrowed 5 billion for the purpose of inauguration or thereabout. Where did that come from? Where did you get the powers to borrow? He's not yet a governor. Why should he really borrow? Even as transition committee, when the governor, the sitting governor now, offered to pay our bills, so that we can have a smooth ride in the job. We didn't want anybody, because he called. He said, just bring your bills. He was speaking to us through a permanent secretary. Bring your bills, as transition committee, so that we foot it. And we said, look, this is not about footing our bills. It is voluntary. We have come to do a voluntary job. We do not need, none of us needs to be paid any kobo to have this job done for Edo. We are doing it in the interest of Edo, and it is on record that this committee, where we belong, which we just rounded our assignment today, we took no penny from either the state governor nor even the incoming governor. So we did it pro bono for the Edo people, in the interest of the Edo. So as for whether he's around or he's not around, or the governor is saying that he was excluded from the inauguration, the truth is that who plans inauguration? Who invited the incoming governor to set up a transition committee? It was the sitting governor. Who plans inauguration? It is the responsibility of the sitting governor. Why is APC and the governor-elect now going ahead to plan their own inauguration themselves? It is because he's not cooperating. He didn't set it up. And that tomorrow was not just going to come without preparing for it. If he didn't set it up, then he's not the one playing blame games on the incoming governor or the All Progressives Congress. What he's simply doing is just messing around with the minds of Edo people so that he can find reasons not to be there. When you don't see him there tomorrow, then he probably will rely on what he told you before. It is neither the responsibility of APC nor of the incoming governor to plan inauguration. For seamless transition, it is the responsibility of the government that is sitting as of today, who was supposed to do that. But he negated and neglected that role, and because there's no vacuum, that is why the APC and the governor-elect is taking over that responsibility, so that we can have a seamless handover of power from one government to another.
Well, APC member Washington Osifo, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.